Mtg for offering our building here, and it was just beautiful. We had some food even for the next meeting. That was the meeting of the minds, and it was just a lovely gathering. So I'm hoping that next year that more people will become involved. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Gina Williams.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor.
Good
Season
evening.
greetings to everyone.
Good evening. Thank you.
I just want to congratulate all the appointees tonight, Robert Travis, Warren Hunter, Sasha Diamond, Chief Pate. All of them, I think, are excellent candidates for the different positions. Oh, and Joe Lovelace, I don't think he's here tonight. But I think they're all excellent candidates. I want to say on behalf of Chief Pate, I 100% agree that we have the right person in office. He's doing an outstanding job. This man walks in integrity. He's informative. He's never at a loss for words. He doesn't stammer. He doesn't stutter. He's on it. He knows our community. He knows our finances. Everything that we present to him or anyone comes to this mic, he has an answer. He's not at a loss for words. And then someone mentioned about a search. Where was the search when we brought Ms. Townsend in? Where was her background and experience? I recall Ms. Lawson calling me on the phone and sharing with me that the woman didn't have 1 degree, but she had 2. Maybe some deodorant degree on the dresser, but there was no degree on her resume. I'm just keeping it real. And she, unfortunately, did not do the best job because we were paying RH, we was paying Mr. Mueller, who was supposed to be a TIP expert. We were paying a consultant, Jerry Townsend. I mean, that's somebody who obviously did not know all the ins and outs, and she had to call on help. So we have somebody in here who knows what they're doing, and it would be a catastrophe if we don't allow him to continue in this effort. So I'm wholeheartedly in agreement with him, and I know my neighbors, friends, everyone who I have talked to has been in agreement that he's doing an outstanding job. And I just want to mention too, this meeting of the minds, which I don't know a whole lot on, but I would like to know more about, because I'm wondering how is it an ex-mayor from Harvey, then our ex-mayor, then I think maybe a former trustee. How are they talking on behalf of our village? What can they really offer us? I mean, it wasn't coming up roses when Al left this office, okay? We still got Cityscape that is a city disaster. And if he had so much surplus, why did it stay there in the ruins? Why did 2 grocery stores that we have get closed? We had 2 banks, Family Bank, Seaway Bank, both of them disappeared. I recall even Trustee Payton saying when he came in office in 2011, they're close to $1 million of checks, stale dated checks were in the vault, but they brag about a surplus. And they can't vote on anything or do anything, so what are we meeting with their minds for? I mean, really, I'm just being honest. So I'm going to attend one of their meetings because I got a couple of things I want to say to those representatives that are coming. And I want to see what they really are about, because I smell, well, I ain't going to say, but it's an opportunity. It's something behind for them to come around now, and they haven't came around in all these years. When you smell smoke, that's a fire. Why are they waiting till the house is almost burnt down to decide, oh, let's come and meet? No, that sounds crazy and cuckoo. So I think we're on the right track. I appreciate all of the board up here. You're doing an outstanding job. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
We are almost at 30 minutes.
Madam Mayor, I ask to be recognized.
Yes, sir.
I do, although I'm kind of shocked at this one, I do have to go back to something a little more familiar and say I have to disagree with Ms. Williams in regards to the meeting of the minds. First and foremost, let me say, any community group that wants to meet ought to meet about any topic that they would like to discuss. This is a democracy is open, it should be honest, and the fair exchange of ideas is the way to do that, and that doesn't matter what group it is. I've personally been to at least 2, and I want to say maybe 3 meetings of the Mind meetings. The first 2 were led by former Mayor Harvey, and I felt we had some good topics of conversation during those meetings. And the last one, we had 3 reverends who came to the meetings of the Mind, and one of them, at the very least, presented an excellent idea that we could use right here in the Village University Park to solve our food desert problem. And I personally hope that when the time comes, we will all get together behind this idea, because this is something that we have been talking about or wanting to do for a long time. Nothing can come but good from members of the community meeting for a common purpose. Even if that meeting is to, quote, meet the minds and come together. I think more of that is needed. We need to have more opposition meeting with the other opposition, or a wise woman once told me, we need to communicate, collaborate, and compromise. And that comes through the political process. And that comes from people coming together through free association, which is guaranteed by our Constitution. So community groups meeting, I mean, you know, depending on what to discuss, maybe I won't like the topic, however, I could also come and put my idea in there as well. So public meetings are good, love people, and we should try and make that more available nonetheless.
Thank you. We're gonna, Ms. Deborah Taylor, and I'm sorry because we shouldn't really be commenting too much, so to let the public speak. Ms. Deborah Taylor, we can limit our comments now.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right. First, I just wanted to say again, thank you. I'm just, you know, coming behind everybody else. So I want to say thank you to this board. And I want to say, as I stand here, I've stood here on many occasions, year before last, as a very, very frustrated resident. And I expressed my frustration to this board. And most of my frustration was because, as a resident, I wanted to be informed. And I was not just speaking for myself, but I was also speaking for other residents that I had spoken with, and they had the same complaint. Why come to the village meeting if we're not going to be informed? We were constantly coming here, and we were leaving with nothing. We came here, we spent our time here. Sometimes we spent 2 hours here, and sometimes even more. And from our previous village manager, and I'm being specific, if we're going to be here, honesty is the best policy. John gave us nothing but runarounds as far as residents. We came here week after week, and I'm not putting her down, I'm telling it like it is, like it was. And we received nothing for our time. Our time is money. At that time, I was working, and therefore I had to get the job the next day. That was my wasted time. So I want to tell you guys that I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you moving forward. I appreciate you being able to give us data-driven, evidence-based information. That's what intelligent people want. We don't want to come and receive nothing. We want information. That's our power. You disempower us when we don't get what we need as far as information, what's going on in this village. We cannot help. We cannot be intelligent stakeholders in the process if we don't have that information. I want to thank you, Chief Pate, because every time we come here, I'm going to reiterate that because everybody needs to hear that. You know, I mean, it's not about liking people. This is about being with people who know how to do the job. It's not about a bunch of degrees either. I have degrees, but I don't care about that because there's a lot of people who have degrees who can't do the job. So you have come here and you've proven that you have the paperwork, maybe not this specific as other people want, but you've proven that you can do the job. And that's what we should be interested in. I'm not here to be personal or hold personal vendettas. I'm here to make sure this village, and we are here to make sure this village moves forward. And whatever it takes to do that, that's what we're going to do. So I want to thank you again, and I want to thank all you guys for working collectively as a board. I'm proud of you. I've never seen this board work so collectively. And I want to talk to you, Oscar, specifically, because I want to say to you that I'm really proud of you tonight. Nothing makes a woman more prouder than to see a man stand in his manhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Last person is Mrs. Bell.
Good evening.
Good
Board.
evening.
I just wanted to say thank you for working together to get things taken care of. I had the pleasure of Chief Hayden coming to one of our block club meetings. At that meeting, he was so informative about what was going on with our village for public safety that I knew that he was, I told Mrs. Trust that he was so into detail that I knew he would be a good village manager and a good choice. But that's not the problem. The problem is that the residents didn't know what they needed to know. And when we're not informed about what's going on with the village, we just don't know anything. My neighbors are worried about their taxes. I live on a block where it's nothing but senior citizens. They're concerned one senior citizen has been forced out of her home. She's living with her daughter, and they're concerned about their taxes. So all I'm asking the board to do is give some type of information. If you have to put it in the boxes so they will know, because everyone is not on next door neighbor. They're just not. And the tax levy it's frightening for them. $183 increase on their mortgage and they're living on a fixed income. Where are they gonna be? What they have to decide whether they're gonna live or whether they're gonna eat. And they shouldn't have to do that, and they've been in their homes over 40 years. I'm grateful for Mr. Payton and Trustee Oscar Brown, as well as the whole entire board, for coming together and doing what is necessary to move our village forward. I thank Mr. Curtis McMullen for attending the meeting of the minds. And also, I want to thank Mr. Gary Richardson and Ms. Keeley as well for doing a spectacular job with our Christmas tree lighting ceremony. And Mr. Brooks and his wife for paying sign and Mrs. Claus. So I want to thank you guys for stepping together and doing what's necessary to show us where we should be going forward, not backwards. Thank you.
Thank you. And you know, we will be doing that in our town hall meetings, which the village will be sponsoring, which is the proper etiquette to do and let you know what's going on. And Ms. Bell, I don't know if you know that if you look at your tax bill, the school district did increase. The state, like I said in my minutes, eliminated the Democrats lost what they call the soft bill. That's the state and local taxes. And that's destroying a lot of programs that's out there. And this one that is being entertained by the federal government right now is going to be disastrous for Black people. I'm just telling you, it's going to be very, very devastating. So it's just not coming from here, it's all around. And it's unfortunate. But we are I'll have someone at the next board meeting in January that will try to give some solutions to aid our seniors. So I've talked to someone on the side to see if they can come and give some benefits and that. So I am working very hard on that, and I understand that totally because my tax practice is unbelievable. It's affecting from here to here, but they don't care. The middle is what's going to suffer the most with this new tax that's going in the White House. So I understand you, and we will be giving you even more information. And as I said, we've been working diligently on Channel 4, and that will be up hopefully before Christmas. Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. That's it for that.
Action items.
Unfinished business.
First, second, and third reading ordinance levying taxes for the corporate purposes of the Village of University Park, Illinois. That's new business, I'm sorry. I'll stay on that. Okay, unfinished business. Okay, done, I apologize. New business, the first, second, and third reading ordinance levying taxes for the corporate purposes of the Village of University Park for the fiscal year commencing on the first day of May 2017 and ending on the 13th day of April 2018. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Oscar Brown, second.
Second.
Second by trustee Brooks. And then comment, I would like,
have a comment.
and I would like also for the chief to say the importance of this to the public, please.
And we have trustee.
So just to really get a little historical in regards to the taxes and the current levy. The last board meeting, a resolution was passed for a proposed tax increase not to exceed 7%. I think there may have been a little confusion with the public in regards to that resolution that was passed. The purpose of the resolution is to maintain the village's compliance with the truth in taxing laws in case the board decided to hold a public hearing and direct me to raise the taxes more than 4.99%. After that board meeting, I specifically polled board members. They stated that they did not want to go over 4.99% in taxes. So this is where we are with the levy. The issue we run into is, just as we ran into last board meeting, we have a budgetary gap. Last board meeting is the first time that you have almost a 90% true budget that shows the true deficit of the village. As the village manager, interim village manager, I have to direct the board at various options to try to bridge that gap. The 4.99%, if compared to last year's levy, calculates to on an average of $200,000 between last year and this year. That is the tax increase, and that goes over across all the residents and homes, evenly distributed and based on assessment values of the homes. So what we have to do is, a levy has to be submitted by the end of the year for Will County to assess taxes, so we can get a probable amount of money that the village will receive in tax funds, so I can do proper planning for the upcoming fiscal year to determine how we bridge various gaps to bridge the deficit. So this is basically explain the levy. Historically, I just want to be very clear that the board has passed tax levies at 4.99% in the past. So this is not the first time that this levy has been passed at this percentage rate. This, however, is the first time it seems that residents are being more interactive and speaking up about it, which I think is very important to have interactive conversations with our residents in regards to our taxes, knowing how tax levies are done, and knowing the history of the village and how it operates in the past. So this is just the basic background information on this year's tax levy, how we came to this conclusion, and where we're at. This levy has to be passed before December 31st. This levy is not passed. I'll be requesting the mayor to call special meetings once a week until the end of the year, until the levy is passed. Because it is required by law for the levy to be passed and filed with Will County by the 28th of December. If it does not pass by the 28th of December, then the village potentially will forfeit those taxing rights based on the basic percentage that is done. So basically, Will County would basically say the village is saying that they're not participating in a levy process, so thus no taxes will be levied on behalf of the Village University Park. Thus, that is revenue that is lost, that I have to do a budgetary gap analysis to try to fulfill the budget based on that lack of funding coming in from the Will County.
Thank you. Trustee?
This one is for, all right. My dear friends, we come here today to ask for your support in regards to a levy that must be passed on December 28th of 2017. Otherwise, we may not have the revenue for our village to operate. I know we find ourselves in an unfortunate situation in regards to our finance. And as I said before, and I will say again, I'll apologize for any action or inaction that I may have taken to cause the situation that we're in. But I just want to let you know that I do care. Nobody wants to see seniors lose their houses. Nobody wants to see people eating dog food. Nobody wants to see the worst that could come from a modest increase in taxes. But we as a board also has to do what's in the best interest of all the residents of the Village University Park. And we will. And we will provide the services and set the great goals to improve the Village University Park, because I believe myself that this can be a prosperous community, and it will be a prosperous community if we are given time to solve our financial situation, if we are given time to levy the taxes that that is needed to make this village operate. We will provide the services. We have to stop the bleeding. If we don't raise taxes, there will be further cuts. And I hate to say this, we have cut to the bone. We're going to cut again tonight if everything goes as planned. And unfortunately, some people's ambitions may not be fulfilled due to these cuts. However, these cuts will be made because it is what is necessary for the village of University Park. We have a need for seasonal employees in public works. We have a need for additional police officers. I've spoken with the manager today, and he has pledged that part of this raise or increase in our tax levy will bring 2 full-time officers and perhaps 2 part-time officers. We just make infrastructure improvements. And we're gonna make it our business to get this hot mix machine so we can fix Greenbrier, and we can fix the road that leads to Thornwood House, which I also want to say we are going to make a priority to do if you leave it up to me and if you leave it up to us. Because we can set the goals, we can set the priorities, but we have to be given the funds to operate. And we also need to redevelop this town center. Everything I've just described costs money. There's no way around it, and there's no doubt about it. But if we focus on the correct things, the tax increase that you will see, and things that are tangible within around the Village University Park. Hopefully, our interim acting manager will make this happen, because we've gone out and he's going to be a champ just like Brian Billick, and that's head to the universe. So we're going to be some champions, and we are going to do this because we have to, because it's what you deserve, and that's it.
Thank you. Any other comments? If anyone would like to, as always, I say I'm available every Friday. Give me a call, it's on the window. Anytime you'd like to talk about anything, feel free to come in our office and talk to me. And I will be clear, I've been making that offer for 5 years, 10 years actually almost, and I've been in office. So please, there's nothing hidden, but those managers are there with me every Friday. And like we said, there are developers, we've met with 2 developers, a third one has already come to us. So we're happy, and they said the best thing that could have happened was at I-57. I-57 opened up a big avenue for us, for our developments. People are talking about hotels. We've already talked about the guys coming back. He even offered to pay for the fees to do the development for us. So that's just how positive people are seeing, and having a village manager consistent, it works good for this board. Because seeing people flip, like they said, who do we talk to now? Who do we talk to now? We need to show consistency, and that's what we're doing. And we're moving this going forward. Because like I said again, I love this board, and we're gonna move forward. Any other comments, concerns? Hearing none, roll call.
Trustee Williams. Nay. Trustee Wilson.
Both sides.
Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McClellan.
Aye.
Trustee Page.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
And Mayor Kelly.
Aye.
Madam Mayor, that is ordinance 2017-26.
Thank you very much. First and second, third reading, ordinance authorizing execution of a lease of commercial property by and between the Village of University Park, Will and Cook Counties, Illinois, Prim and Paint Beauty Lounge Incorporated with Unit 8 in Town Center. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Brooks, second by trustee
Madam
McClellan.
Mayor, we have a presentation,
Okay.
rented.
Please, would you like to come up? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So, I'm Aisha Scott, and I'm Scott here. So we are basically here just to ask for your support.
Get the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No
We're here
worries.
just to ask for your support in the execution of the lease for Unit 8.
Hold it up.
I'm sorry.
Can I have your names again,
Denisha Scott.
And I'm Asha Harris.
And so basically, we're here to ask for your support in the execution of the lease for Unit 8. Currently, we do have a business that we have run for about 8 years in Tilly Park, and we just want to transfer that here to the Village of University Park. It is a beauty salon, and I do know that there is not one here in this village. And I have lived here for a very long time, and I have not known one to be here. I've seen barbershops and things like that, but never anything for a professional working woman. I mean, the metro is right there, we've got I-57, but there's nothing here for beauty, for makeup, and things of that nature. So that's what we're proposing to the board today.
And I have seen your place, Tilly Park, fantastic.
Thank you.
It's a good class, it's a good look, and we will be honored for you to be here in yours.
Awesome, thank you.
Any other questions to them? Okay.
I'm looking forward to this progress.
Oh, all right. Oh, with all here. All right. Thank you so much.
guys.
Thank you. Let's go to the first.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Williams. Trustee Wilson.
Both sides.
Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McMullen.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
And Mayor Cummings.
Both sides.
Madam Mayor, that's ordinance 2017-27.
Thank you. First, second, and third, congratulations, ladies. First, second, and third, we have someone else here. First, second, and third reading, ordinance of the Village University Park, Village of County, Illinois, amending section 22801 of the chapter 228 of Title 6 of the Part 2 of the Codified Ordinances on the Village of the University Park with regard to the Director of Public Safety. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee McClellan, second.
Second.
Second by trustee Oscar Brown.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
reference to this motion, or excuse me, reference to this order, I'm gonna make a motion because this is something that should have been brought before the meeting of the whole. So I'll make a motion that we table this item. It should have been on discussion instead of 1, 2, and 3.
Here a second. Okay, motion failed.
We go to discussion.
No, I mean,
Oh, we don't have comment? The motion failed.
No, yeah, motion failed.
Okay, we have discussion.
Comment?
You want to go first? Okay. Madam Mayor, first of all, this public safety director, the Village of University Park, we never had one. It was an ordinance from that was 1983. Here, we change the language for the village manager, number 1, to be the director of public safety and have control over both divisions. First of all, if we do this, we do understand that we're changing the structure of our village of how we operated. We always had a village manager, and actually, if you go back to the code, from if you're a police and fire commissioner, it goes under section 220-5, where actually the village manager does have that power to appoint the police chief, the deputy chief, and we're talking to both departments, as well as the commanders of the police department, where the village manager already has that power to appoint, suspend, and remove from those positions. It's unnecessary for us to have this ordinance, Madam Mayor, especially here in the history of the village. We understand that Chief Pate is already our village manager. He's also the chief of police. If this is for him, because it is also in this ordinance under item F2D, it's totally unnecessary for us to amend our ordinance for the sake of someone to have the title. Now, this is nothing against Chief Pate. We're talking about if Chief Pate leaves and we have someone else come in, they're going to hold the responsibility. He's not Superman. He does good things. I don't object to Chief Pate whatsoever about being the village manager. But what we're doing is that we're changing our ordinance to suit the title. We don't have to do it. And in fact, Madam Mayor, if I remember, I did ask a question. Well, that was executive session. I can't ask what I said. Okay. However, Crete has their village manager who is a police chief. There's nothing wrong with Chief Pate to continue to be or have, because his whole thing is his credentials. He wants to make sure that he has his credentials, because the law is, me being a police officer, if you're off the streets for a year, that takes away his certification. I just don't feel we should amend our code right now, especially Chief Pate is not a firefighter 1 or 2. The reason why I know this, you are? Okay, I heard some humming down on the end. Okay, he does not have to, he is not he can't be over the fire department. I ask that the trustees understand and take my experience, that I understand what I'm saying. and that it's unnecessary to change the code tonight, that we go with the original consensus that we had, Madam Mayor, before I was surprised with this in the agenda.
Okay, sure.
Okay, I kind of agree with Trustee Brooks, thank you. With the exception of, the manager shall serve as Director of Public Safety until this position is filled by an appointment. Is that an appointment from a member of the community? It doesn't say here, so I'm not clear on what kind of appointment it would be if it was an appointment.
Is that your only question? That's the only question?
Well, that was one. And then here's where I agree with Trustee Brooks. If Chief Pate will serve as Chief of Police and Village Manager, then why, I think we don't need to have him be, in addition to that, the Director of Public Safety. I think if this is an appointment that would go to a community resident, who would it be?
It would be a community resident.
Who would it be? It just says filled by an appointment.
So
What's
just
the
to,
stipulations on the appointment?
so just to discuss just the history of how this came about, and I think Attorney Wise will kind of interject as well. The codified ordinance, the way it was written, it stated that the village manager will serve as the Director of Public Safety. That is how the code is currently written right now. The village attorney contacted me and said, hey, we have this code from 1983. It said that the village manager will hold the role of Director of Public Safety. We looked at the legalities of the code, because at this point, if any village manager would come in, the ordinance as written says they automatically hold the role of Director of Public Safety. What we did was strengthen the ordinance to, number one, remove liability from the village if another village manager comes in as Director of Public Safety, as well as strengthen the ordinance. Secondly, we have polled and surveyed multiple municipalities that have the Director of Public Safety position, and they're either a police chief and fire chief, and they oversee both divisions. And they're only required to hold one certification or other, and that was polled. And the village attorney did do the research, so this was not something that was whipped together just to be done for happenstance. Thirdly, I would be, if this is approved by the board, I would be vacating the position of chief of police, okay, for proper advancement in the police department. I would be vacating that position. I would not be holding 3 positions as has been proposed or stated. I would be holding village manager, if that's approved in the next agenda item, and Director of Public Safety. But the reason Director of Public Safety section was updated was to actually make it a little bit more sound and updated. Because Attorney Wise, I think you can interject, we could have left it the way it was, and de facto, I would have been the Director of Public Safety upon appointment of village manager if that does occur. Can you interject, Attorney Wise, please?
Well, if I could finish my comment, then maybe you can answer that all in one. Because the remainder of my comment